Hi everyone, Diane here. Welcome to my channel. Today I could say I'm not on what I would call top form because I had a little bit of a dizzy thingy, what's it going on a couple of days ago, and I haven't quite kind of got myself back into full operational mode yet. So I want to be kind to myself because who else will be? If I'm not. So anyway, I'm going to do something which I like to do and which I find, relaxing in a way, I suppose. I'm going to paint some chickens. These are paintings I did of some hens the other day, and I thought perhaps we could do those again today. And also I did these two cockerels as well on the same day, I think, and they make quite a nice pair. This one is in honour of one of our hens, which we call Mrs. White. Mrs. White is not very well because she's got bumblefoot, and that's a very tricky condition to treat for chickens, and there's not very much we can do about it except hope that homeopathy, antibiotics and a bit of TLC will cure her in the end, but we're not so sure that that's going to work. Anyway, this is kind of a tribute to her. And the cockerel, unfortunately, we lost one last week in an accident, and so now we only have one. And you'll have noticed that there's much less crowing going on out there, and that's why, because now we only have one and they don't have to compete with each other. Yes, that's right. So it's a whole lot quieter out there. Anyway, so let's get started with this. I shall just sit myself down and I'll put a sketch up on our website of these two chickens if you want to basically use my outline to work from. I never know quite how they're going to turn out when I start these drawings, and sometimes you have to adjust them as you go along, actually, usually. And they all turn out different. Each one is a little bit different. It's a bit like every craft, really. You never really quite know what's going to come out at the end of it. That's half the fun of it. I'm not quite sure whether I want to make his legs a bit longer. I think I might. Let's find an eraser and just stretch him down a little bit. So you can come down a little bit further, Mr. Chicken. We call you Remy. It's a tribute to Remy. Sadly, no longer with us. I feel quite bad about it, actually, because, and that might be why I'm feeling a bit rough, because it was my fault, I think, and the dog got him, and it was my fault because I should have shut the dog away, and for some reason I didn't, and I don't really know quite what I was thinking. I just, sometimes you do things wrong, don't you? Anyway, sorry, Remy. So we'll just, I usually do the sketch, I do it after I've actually finished the painting. And I don't do the sketch, for you, I do the sketch after I finish the painting, not at this point. So I won't, what I do is I do the painting and then I go over it once it's been done. So, okay, so we're going to start with her tail and her feet. I want to make sure she fits on the page. So we'll put her feet in at the back here. Poor old Mrs. White. It's the downside of having animals, really, when they get sick. Even the chickens, it's easy to get attached to dogs and things and worry about what's going to happen when they get ill or even die. As I lost a dog last year, we had to have her put to sleep because she was suffering from dementia. Oh dear, I don't know. Okay, so the back of the chicken, like that, and then we're going to pop her wattle in here. Keep things nice and small. Little wattle. Sorry, that's not a wattle. This is the wattle. This is the comb. There we go. And then her neck, and then her. I put them in little. He should probably have one too, actually. That I will do in a sec. So in a scarf or neckerchief. There we are. He can have one too, can't he? He can have one that comes down in a point. Like Rocky. You can have an R on the front of it. There we are. I don't like the way I've got his beak there. There's something not quite right. That's better. It's funny when, people, when they're not feeling very well, I know a lot of people have said things like this, I can't paint when I'm not feeling well, and that's totally right, because unless you are, somehow everything goes wrong, doesn't it? It's very tricky. I'm going to give her a little bit more length on her beak. And there we are. So we have our two chickens there, and they can have some corn. Okay, so now the fun begins and we can start to paint them. Just have a quick slurp of my decaffeinated coffee. And we need a paintbrush. So let's find a nice the Drawwell number 7, I think that is. Any round brush would do, as long as it comes to a reasonable point. And what I want to do for these ones is I'm going to, first of all, find my kneaded eraser, which is this. And having done the drawing, I don't want to have too much of the lead, the graphite, showing through the paint. So I'm just going to lift off some of the extra graphite by going over with the kneaded eraser. You can either do it like this, pressing down, or if you want to make it into a sausage, like that, you can sort of roll it like that. That kind of works quite well. Just so that you can still see, but it's not going to show through, because once you put paint on top of graphite, it's hard to get rid of the lines. So we don't need them to be too obvious. So just do that. These kneaded erasers are quite handy for this. So I can still see exactly what I wanted to see. And then I'm going to paint them wet in wet. So we'll start with, shall we start with Mrs. White? And I'm just going to go over the main body of the chicken, perhaps not including her head, because this is going to have to stay dry. So we'll just do that. And then I know she's meant to be white, but I think we'll paint her a sort of lilac. Very light mauve. That's dioxazine mauve, I think. And we'll start with her tail. and just drop the paint in. And the details we'll put in with a pen afterwards. So we'll just go sort of round her body like that, and up to but not including her scarf. Just put a little bit more mauve on her tail like that, and then very lightly we'll colour in her face, very lightly. Less is more. So we'll do that like that. And then we'll go to Remy, our cockerel, and make him wet. Some people might say, oh, you paint too many birds, or I don't like chickens and you paint too many chickens. But, you know, I think I explained earlier why. So if you have listened to what I have said, you'll understand. And then, okay, so this one, let me think. We want a green, I think, for his tail. I don't have any. Oh, there's some blue. Right, so mix some blue with the green. And then well, I think maybe I'll just stick with the green. And then we'll give him a nice orange, I think, scarf, which will then be a nice contrast. Kind of do some little flicks for his feathers around his legs, like that. Okay, and then he's going to have, I think I'll make him sort of more or less one colour, I think. So we'll keep him green, and less is more. Okie dokie. I think I'm going to look for a slightly smaller brush for the details. And I'll just show you, I've got this set of acrylic markers. This is 2 different colours, one each end, with a sort of brush tip. And I'm going to use one of these for doing their scarves, because it's easier, especially if you make a mistake, and if you want to do embellishments on them, then you're better off using something like that. That's a light wish one, and this is the Artex acrylic markers, and this white one does lovely nice white dots, which I'll show you a bit later when we get to the next point. And I'm just going to put the hairdryer on briefly to make sure this is dry. I didn't tell you what kind of paper it was that I'm using, but it's just a cheap cellulose paper. I'm not sure what make it is. It's just a bit of any old paper, so nothing to get excited about. So now I'm going to just put in their combs and wattles. And I think it needs to be a little bit oranger than that. Okay, so Mrs. White or Mrs. Lilac. There we are, and Remy. Okay, and now we need their legs, so we go with probably an orangey colour for their little leggies. Chickens' legs are surprisingly, or their feet are surprisingly big. Of course, you don't have to do them accurately. It doesn't matter. You can do them small if you want. No harm in that. And we just put in their beaks, which in our chickens are basically a light yellow colour, like that. And then I think I'll just indicate a little bit of ground for them to stand on. And some corn. And now I'm going to do the scarves. And she had a lovely pink scarf on. So this is the Light Wish acrylic marker. And I'm going to use that because I wanted a strong colour and plenty of control. Like that, so that I could actually make it look right. And if you want to, of course, you can add another colour of pink just to make it different, a little bit more exciting. And then for him, I think, did I say orange? It's not very bright. What about this one? That's more like yellow. Okay, well, that'll do, I think. So we put there we are. And he needs some colour on his face. And then we'll do a little bit of indication of a wing. And I'm going to come in with some a fine liner in a minute. When that's dry, we can do his eye. But I do want to actually make a little bit darker his tail. We're going to put a nice R on there. And I need some black. For his eye. And hers as well. Some toenails. Going to use the grey end of the pen just to go around his initial. And I give them some expression on their faces. So the bottom, this pen is grey one side and black the other side. And then I'm going to put some dots. You see, that's wonderful for dots. You can do bigger ones and they can go smaller. And he can have dots as well, only he's going to have black ones, I think. Okie dokie. And now a little bit of brushwork with a marker. That's to say, fine liner. This one is a micron. This is a 0.5. So that should be about right. And I've kept her nice and light because, as I said, she's supposed to be white. But we'll give her some outline now using the marker pen. And when you're not feeling too good, if you can get yourself to just start, and that's why I chose to do this today, because it's one of those things that it doesn't really matter. It's not a major project. I'm not trying to impress, just trying to basically stay functional. Which I think you probably would agree is the most we can hope for, really. Stay functional, stay visible. Tamsin said to me this morning, guess what I heard last night when I opened my window? Because it was very hot last night. We had, yesterday the temperatures were well up in the 90s. And it was extremely warm. Luckily, we've got air conditioning, which I think everybody should be considering getting nowadays. But she said, I opened the window and I heard a wolf. I heard a wolf howling. And now my daughter, I want to say, has hearing. She can hear when the television is turned on. She can hear the noise that anything. She can hear bats. She can hear anything. Her hearing is incredible. And I think she suffers actually quite a lot because of it, because she hears too much. So anyway, I know that if she says she heard a wolf, she heard a wolf. In fact, I think she said she heard two. So it has just become known where we live in Brittany. It has just become known that there are wolves here, and it's not entirely surprising. I've always said that there were, because I just had a feeling, but she knows now. And it was in the newspaper the other day. There was a photograph somebody had managed to, with an automatic camera set on, to be triggered by any movement. A picture of a wolf walking through the mountains not far from here, carrying a dead what looked like a young deer. So we have wolves. Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? We're in far northwestern France. We have sheep, so we need to be careful. Okay, so I'm just putting in what you could call the details of the birds. I don't want to forget Remy's wing. Whoops, wrong pen. This one. I think I'm going to make his wattle a little bit brighter. Put a little bit more on his comb as well. And we'll do the same for Mrs. White. Oh yes, and right then, I think that'll probably do. So there we are. 2 chickens, Remy and Mrs. White. And yeah, these are the other ones. So I'll do a sketch of that for you and I'll put it up on the website. And you can go over there and you can always download our sketches for free. No charge for that. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to subscribe. If you aren't already subscribed to the channel, turn on notifications. Make sure you click on the notification with the bell so that you actually get to hear when I do put up a new video. And don't forget, we've got Patreon, we've got YouTube membership, and we have a Facebook page as well as many other things. So we hope to see you over there sometime soon. And I'll let you go and have fun, everyone. Bye for now. Bye-bye.